You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. This is The Gailey Show. I am your host, JP D'Arbragosian. We are your answer to the question, what is a queer thing I can read, watch, or go to in the Twin Cities and beyond? And I am very happy to have a guest today who was a former guest on our other show, This Queer Book Saved My Life, Allison Vincent. And we're going to be talking about a new show that Allison is directing at the Gremlin Theatre. So Allison, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, first of all, why don't we reacquaint you with our audience? So tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do, because you basically do all the things: writer, director, instructor, theater maker. So go for it.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of define myself as a theater maker and a deviser, meaning that I just really like making plays and telling stories and collaborating. So I work at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I'm a instructor in the writing studies department teaching first year writing, and then I occasionally sneak over to the theater arts and dance department and help students make plays over there. I also adjunct at Augsburg and teach acting for non-majors and improv. And then when I'm not in the classroom, I have two companies. I'm a core and founding member and co-artistic director of Transatlantic Love Affair. We've been around since 2010, and I'm a newish member of the Four Humors, which has been kind of they've been around forever, and have like fangirled over them for a decade, and now I get to call myself one of their own, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, congratulations. All very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Physicists, for folks who are watching on YouTube, I'm holding up the postcard that we got in the mail, and it looks it looks like so much fun. So tell us about The Physicists. What does it start with what the show's about?
Okay, great. So The Physicists is about a sanatorium, which is, one of the nice ways we call insane asylums, that is housing several folks, but in one wing there are just these three physicists who remain. And two of the three of them have murdered nurses. So we open the play with the most recent murder. An inspector is there and is questioning Fraulein Dr. von Zond, who runs the asylum, about what she plans to do to ensure this does not happen again, and kind of forcing her hand to hire male attendants, because the local police force feels that that's the problem, right? It's because they're female nurses. That's why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the inmates, who is a physicist, believes he is Isaac Newton. Another believes he is Albert Einstein. And then a third is the physicist named Möbius, who is himself. And from there, the play just goes in all kinds of bizarre, different kind of mistaken identities, talking about huge philosophical ideas about for the greater good, about who is in charge, about what madness is, about what insanity looks like with power and how power can corrupt. So it's truly, it's a lot. So it's darkly funny, it's absurdist, and at times it's going to make you kind of go, wait, what? And really think about who is lying, who is telling the truth, and then what the ultimate kind of message of the play is, I think, is in about how we treat each other and when we choose logic over love, I think.
So I don't know if any of the characters are specifically queer, but this sounds like a very queer show in the sense of philosophy and life.
Yeah, and it's very much about the things that we choose to repress or hide from public view because we feel that it's dangerous, and then also just the idea of people, who gets to make decisions for other people, I think is a big thing that a queer audience can tap into. So the play itself is very much kind of steeped in a lot of theory, a lot of math, but also kind of investigation of the human soul and what it means to sell your soul, what it means to, try and sacrifice yourself for somebody else. And then, also Friedrich Dermont is the playwright, and I love the guy, but he's also kind of a problem because the entire play, he kind of bases around these 21 ideas about how to make the play happen, and a huge one is paradox. So there's lots of paradox all throughout the show, which is a fun challenge as a director, and is also just a really meaty challenge for an actor to figure out when you are who you say you are.
Wait, so, but I mean, I don't want to give spoilers away, but can you give an example of like paradox
Sure.
or a paradox?
So, one of the characters is concerned about his theories being used in a way that would harm humanity. So he is saying that he is feigning madness to stay inside. So the idea of giving up your freedom to stay in a madhouse, but then also kind of living a more free life because you get to stay inside. You don't have to have responsibility for the things that you've done. So, and that's just, again, I'm trying not to give any spoilers, but things like that where, for three folks who are working through logically their entire lives, kind of working formulaically, and then fate or the human, condition or human behavior throws a wrench in things. So I think that is kind of a big theme of the Physicists.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to that. And it opens on the 22nd, right? As you were saying before we got started, you're in the problem solving phase.
Yes. Yeah. So it opens on August 23rd. We have a preview on the 22nd, and it runs through September 15th at the Gremlin Theatre in St. Paul. And yeah, we're in the problem solving phase. So this is where we're about to go into tech, which is where we add lights and sound and costumes, and all the design elements are starting to come together. So in this pre-tech phase, everything's coming together, and we're kind of seeing like, oh, this works really well together. Like, oh, that does not work, right? So we're also in the space, so we're spacing things out. Oftentimes, you're rehearsing in either a different shape space or a smaller space, so you have to kind of reorient actors and make sure that things still look the way they're supposed to look. The Gremlin is a wonderful thrust stage, so there's audience on all three sides, which is another really fun space to play as an actor. Also a challenge in terms of sightlines. So we're tackling all those things, getting ready for tech right now. So lots of really, problems or opportunities. So finding problems present is a big part of this phase of the process.
It just feels like no matter what the genre is, theater, writing, radio, podcasting, a lot of it is just problem solving.
Absolutely. For my writing friends, we're in the editing phase.
Okay. There you go. Well, congratulations on that. And also, so tonight at the Phipps Center for the Arts in Hudson, you have an encore performance of a show that was at the Fringe, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I made a solo show about caretaking for my dad as he was dealing with dementia and some end of life things. And he and I had kind of a bizarre relationship. We had a lot of distance between us. So it's just kind of a show about that, about caregiving, about choosing to help somebody, even if maybe they weren't always there for you. The show was really lovely to do and cathartic, and got lovely reviews, which was great. So yeah, that'll be at the Phipps at 7 tonight. And then if you are still hungry for some Fringe, there is another show that has an encore on Sunday, and then the Fringe Hangover will start pretty soon here, where you can watch Fringe shows from the festival that were recorded.
I didn't know about. I love that title, Fringe Hangover.
Yes. Yeah.
But your show. So our executive producer of our shows and podcasts, Jim Pounds, is working with the Remember Project, which is about doing theater around dementia and memory loss and Alzheimer's, and it's a really difficult. Like it's so, I don't want to say prevalent, but it is a major issue, right? That either adult children will face with their parents, or going through it yourself. And so, having been to a couple performances of that, watching audiences navigate it emotionally, because so many people don't want to think about that. So this is a very heavy topic. I mean, talk to me about, what the reaction was like, or maybe no, let's back up. What was it like having to write that and make those choices? Because that's a really big topic to tackle.
For sure. And it's something I was thinking about a lot because, you never want an audience to come in and just have a horrible time. So I was really fortunate that I got a fellowship in 2022, the Naked Stages Fellowship through Pillsbury House and Theater, to develop the first like 30 minutes of this piece. And I got to work with incredible artists, including all of the P House folks. And Joel Sass was my
Yeah.
director. He's the AD over at Open Eye Figure Theater.
Yeah.
And I told him in our initial meeting, I really want to make this, something that people can sit through, that will not be just a total drag. Obviously, it's going to be sad, and there's going to be moments of, grief, and maybe even anger, but also I want to make sure it's infused with some humor. Because there are some things, and I feel like folks who do caregive will understand when I say, like, some things are funny, it's just like the little quirks that happen.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's gallows humor, but it is like, looking back, it's, you have to laugh sometimes, otherwise you're gonna cry. So for this longer version, the show's now about like 55, 56 minutes. So I really focused on infusing even more humor and a little bit more about myself. That was one challenge that Joel gave me when he found out that I was gonna be in the Fringe. It's like, you should talk more about your relationship with your dad prior to this kind of like new phase of your relationship. So I think that really helped. And also, there's an old rule of clown, especially tragic clown, where if you can make your audience laugh, then they will be more willing to cry with you at the end. So, Minnesota audiences are really kind, so if people hated it, they did not come and tell me that. But the folks who stuck around did mention that, I heard from a lot of folks who are going through this with their family or their friends, and that, they recognize a lot of truth, and that they really appreciated the humor, which was one of my main goals for this round of remounts. So yeah, there are some funny things, but it also is very serious and might bring some tears.
What I also love about this is that, and I've just finished reading 2 memoirs, one of which I Am Never Fine by Joseph Leza. Joseph is going to be here in September, but both of them are about adult queer children navigating either the caregiving or the not caregiving of an adult parent. And as I was reading both of those, and I didn't plan to read both of these like simultaneously right next to each other, one after the other, but as I was doing that, I realized, wow, I haven't actually read a lot of queer kids taking care of adults. And so I think this is great that you're adding to that oeuvre, that genre, that, because it is something where a lot of the things we hear about are queer adults going into like homes, or how they themselves are aging, but we really haven't seen, I think, a lot of those stories of queer kids navigating the caregiving or not of their parents. And it's something that we're all kind of coming up on, you know what I mean? It's something we have to do. And so I think that that's important to have that representation to just kind of help us in our brains navigate that. So it seems weird to say thank you for that, but I just want to kind of affirm and honor, at least from my personal, point of view, how important that is to put that out into the world. And it can't have been easy.
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about theater, which, keeps bringing me back, is that it's a way to process something, and it's also a way to share a story with somebody else. So yeah, I think that my 2 main goals were, I wanted, I waited quite a while after my dad died to begin. I always had like an idea about it, but I waited to really let things settle in my brain about all my feelings about him, so that I was in like a healthy place to write the show initially, and then I let it sit for another year before I applied to the Fringe to expand it, just to like let myself have a lot of time to think about, how did that go? How do I feel about that?
I hate to do this. We're gonna have to leave it right there, but it's at the Phipps Center for the Arts tonight. Go and see it, and then the Physicists at the Gremlin Theatre opens on the 23rd. Allison, thank you so much for being on The Gailey Show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to talk to you.
Absolutely, always. All right, folks, Twin Cities Pride Amplified is coming up next. Follow us on Instagram at _Gailey Show. Until next Saturday, see you queers and allies in the bookstores.